Your dog puts their paw on your arm. You smile and say cute. Your dog follows you to the bathroom. You say clingy. Your dog destroys the couch while you're at work. You say bad dog. 3 behaviors, 3 labels, and every single one of them is wrong. Because behavioral scientists at 6 universities across 4 countries have proven something the internet still hasn't caught up with. Your dog was never being weird. Your dog was speaking. 5 emotional vocabularies: protection, devotion, ancient, trust, and distress. A complete language, 15,000 years in the making. And the last vocabulary, the one you've been punishing, might be the most important one to hear. To understand what your dog has been saying, we first need to understand where this language came from. For decades, ethologist Adam McCloskey and his team at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest have been studying something extraordinary. Out of every domesticated species on Earth, cats, horses, pigs, goats, dogs are the only one that evolved the ability to read and respond to human emotion. Not trained, evolved. Over 15,000 years of living beside us, their brains rewired, not to obey commands, but to decode what we feel. Here's why that matters. It means every behavior your dog performs around you isn't random. It isn't instinct running on autopilot. It's a response shaped by thousands of generations to you, your mood, your presence, your absence. And when researchers mapped these responses, a pattern emerged. Not 60 random quirks, not a list of fun facts, a system. 5 distinct emotional vocabularies, each one serving a different function, each one saying something specific: protection, devotion, ancient, trust, and distress. What you call weird, science calls a complete emotional lexicon. And the first vocabulary your dog speaks, especially when you're not watching, might surprise you. Think about where your dog sleeps. At your feet? By the door? With their back pressed against yours? Now think about what you've called it. Clingy, needy, Velcro dog. Here's the thing. In 15,000 years of pack evolution, leaving a member of the group alone while they were vulnerable was the single behavior most likely to get a wolf killed. Not hunting, not fighting. Abandoning the watch. So wolves developed a system. Rotate positions, face outward, guard the sleepers. Your dog still runs that system. Every night. When your dog follows you to the bathroom, they're not being clingy. When they sleep at your feet, they're not being needy. When they lie with their back pressed against yours, they're covering the angle you can't see. And here's where it gets remarkable. Neuroscientist Gregory Burns at Emory University put dogs inside an fMRI scanner, one of the first researchers ever to do it. And what he found was this. When dogs smelled their owner's scent, their brain's reward center, the caudate nucleus, lit up more intensely than it did for food. More than treats. More than other dogs. You're not just someone your dog protects. You are the single most rewarding stimulus in their neurological universe. And they have been standing guard over you. Every night. Every bathroom trip. Every vulnerable moment. Not because they're clingy. Because in 15,000 years of evolution, the ones who let their person out of sight didn't survive. And your dog's DNA remembers. That's not neediness. That's a security oath. 15,000 years old. And your dog renews it every single night. You walk through the door after a long day. Your dog loses their mind. Spinning, jumping, a toy in their mouth, tail moving so fast their entire body shakes. You've called it overexcited, maybe even too much. But here's what behavioral scientist Monique Udell found at Oregon State University. She gave dogs a choice. On one side of the room, their favorite treat. On the other side, their owner. And in 87% of trials, 87, the dogs chose the person, not the food, not the reward their brain is supposedly hardwired to chase. You. Now, think about what that means for the paw on your arm. When your dog reaches out and places their paw on you, they're not asking for attention. They're choosing you. Over everything else in the room. Over every stimulus their brain is processing. And here's something most people don't know. Dogs can detect changes in your pheromones, the chemical signals your body releases, before you're even aware your mood has shifted. That paw on your arm when you're feeling down? Your dog knew before you did. And what about the stolen socks? The shoes dragged across the house? You think that's misbehavior, but look at where each item ends up. The dog bed, the couch cushion, the spot by the door where they wait for you. Your dog isn't stealing your things. Your dog is distributing your scent across every safe space they have. Like a child clutching a blanket, except the blanket smells like you. And the stretching, That full-body bow when they first see you? That's not a warm-up. Researchers believe it's a preparation response. Your dog's body physically readying itself for the emotional event of being reunited with you. When it spills into zoomies, that's not hyperactivity. That's emotional overflow. Joy so large their body can't contain it. Your dog doesn't do random things when you walk through the door. Your dog does the same thing every poet has ever tried to do. Find a way to say, "You are everything," without using words. 15,000 years ago, wolves made a choice. They moved closer to human campfires. They traded the wild for warmth. And your dog still carries the echo of that choice in every spin, every scratch, every howl. Watch your dog before they lie down. The spinning, one circle, sometimes two. You've probably filmed it, probably laughed. But that behavior kept their wolf ancestors alive for 200,000 years. In tall grass, spinning fleshed out snakes and insects. It flattened a sleeping surface. It confirmed the ground was safe. Your living room has no snakes, but your dog's DNA doesn't know that. And after 15,000 years of central heating, carpet, and memory foam beds, the code still runs, every single night. Now here's where it gets extraordinary. When your dog finishes their business outside and scratches the ground, that's not cleanup. Dogs have scent glands between their toes. Every scratch deposits a chemical signature, age, health, stress level, identity, into the earth. A biological calling card. But researchers Vlastimil Hart and Petra Novikova published something in Frontiers in Zoology in 2013 that nobody expected. After analyzing over 7,000 observations, they found that dogs consistently align their bodies along the north-south magnetic axis when they defecate. Your dog has a built-in compass, and they use it every single time for a ritual their ancestors perfected before humans built their first wall. And the howling. When a siren passes and your dog lifts their head and howls, they're not scared. That's long-range wolf communication. High-frequency sound that travels miles across open terrain. Your dog hears that siren, and their 15,000-year-old software interprets it as another canid calling from the distance. So they answer. Not out of confusion, out of duty. And the toy shaking, that violent side-to-side thrash with a stuffed animal, that's the killing bite. The exact motion wolves use to break a small prey's neck. But here's the thing. In your dog, it triggers endorphin release. Calm. Satisfaction. The hunter is still in there, but now the prey is a squeaky duck. None of this is random. It's ancient. Every spin is a ritual. Every howl is an echo. Every scratch is a signature that says, I was here. I am wolf. And I chose you. Think about the last time your dog looked at you. Not glanced, looked. Held your eyes for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Soft face, relaxed body, just present. You probably smiled. Maybe you said, good boy, or scratched behind their ears. And then you moved on. But here's what was actually happening. In 2015, a team led by Miho Nagasawa at Azabu University in Japan published a study in Science, one of the 2 most prestigious scientific journals on Earth. And what they found changes everything we thought we knew about the bond between dogs and humans. When dogs and their owners gaze into each other's eyes, both brains release oxytocin, the same neurochemical that floods a mother's brain when she holds her newborn for the first time. And it's not a one-way signal. It's a feedback loop. The dog's oxytocin rises, which makes them gaze longer, which makes your oxytocin rise, which makes you gaze longer, back and forth, escalating, bonding. No other domesticated animal does this. Not cats, not horses, not any species that has lived alongside humans for thousands of years. Only dogs. And wolves, the direct ancestor, can't do it either. Researchers tested wolves raised by humans from birth. Same environment, same socialization. No oxytocin loop. Nothing. Which means this isn't instinct. This isn't something dogs inherited from the wild. This is something dogs evolved, specifically, uniquely, exclusively, to do with us. A biochemical trust ritual that mirrors the deepest bond nature ever designed, parent and child. Now think about the belly. When your dog rolls over and exposes their stomach, that's the most vulnerable position a predator-descended animal can offer. Throat exposed, organs unprotected, every survival instinct screaming, don't do this. And your dog does it anyway. Not because they're submissive, because they've decided, at a level deeper than thought, that you are safe. The lean against your leg when you're standing in the kitchen. the full body weight pressed into your side on the couch, the head resting in your lap with a sigh. None of that is neediness. That is a vocabulary of surrender. And it's the one thing wolves could never afford to speak, because in the wild, vulnerability is death. But your dog looked at 15,000 years of survival instinct and said, "Not with this person." Think about the last time you came home to a mess. The cushion torn apart, the shoes chewed through, maybe a puddle by the front door. And you walked in and you saw your dog, crouched, ears flat, tail tucked, and you said it. Bad dog. Here's what actually happened while you were gone. Within minutes of the door closing, your dog's cortisol, the stress hormone, began to rise. Researchers at the University of Bristol found that separation-related distress affects roughly 1 in 4 pet dogs. 1 in 4. And what they documented wasn't misbehavior, it was panic. Your dog didn't chew the cushion because they were angry. Dogs don't have the cognitive architecture for spite or revenge. That requires a theory of mind that canine brains simply don't possess. Your dog chewed the cushion because chewing releases endorphins, because their stress system was flooding their body with cortisol, and they were looking, desperately, for any behavior that would make the feeling stop. The scratching at the door? Not defiance. Escape behavior, trying to get to you. The barking that went on for hours? Not attitude, a distress call, the same vocalization wolves use when separated from the pack. The puddle by the door? Not poor training. Stress-induced loss of bladder control, a physiological response, not a behavioral choice. And here's the part that should keep every pet parent up at night. When you came home and punished that behavior, the raised voice, the pointed finger, the cold shoulder, Hungarian researchers at Eötvös-Loránd University found that punishment doesn't reduce anxiety behaviors. It amplifies them. Your dog learns that your departure means panic, and your return means punishment. The one safe person in their neurological universe has now become unpredictable. And the anxiety, the cortisol, the destruction, the barking, gets worse. Every behavior you called bad was your dog speaking the 5th vocabulary, the distress language, the most desperate words in their entire lexicon. And the response they needed was never a punishment. It was the opposite. They needed you to hear them, the way you'd hear a child crying in another room. Not with anger, but with the understanding that something is wrong and they don't have the words to explain it. Except they did have the words. You just didn't recognize the language. Until now. You. 5 vocabularies, 60 behaviors. And every single one of them has been aimed at the same person since the day your dog met you. 2 billion views tagged #WeirdDog. The internet laughed. But now you know what was actually happening in every single one of those videos. Not 60 random quirks. Not a list of fun facts for a listicle. One complete language. The most sophisticated emotional communication system ever developed by a non-verbal species. And here's the part that should take your breath away. In 2019, evolutionary psychologist Juliana Kaminsky and her team at the University of Portsmouth published a study in PNAS, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They compared the facial anatomy of dogs and wolves. Same genus, same ancestor, almost identical DNA. But there was one difference. Dogs had developed a muscle that wolves don't have. A small, specific muscle above the eye, the levator anguli oculi medialis, that does one thing. It raises the inner eyebrow. It creates what we call puppy dog eyes. Wolves can't make that face. Dogs evolved it. Over thousands of years of living beside humans, natural selection favored the dogs who could make their eyes look larger, sadder, more expressive, because those dogs got more care, more food, more attention, more love. Your dog didn't just learn to live with you. Your dog evolved a muscle, a physical structure that did not exist before, specifically to talk to you. And remember what Gregory Burns found at Emory, that your scent activates your dog's reward center more powerfully than food? Remember what Nagasawa proved, that when your eyes meet your dog's, both brains flood with the same oxytocin that bonds a mother to her newborn? Put it all together. Your scent is their greatest reward. Your gaze triggers their deepest bond. Your presence is the axis their entire emotional world spins around. And over 15,000 years, they evolved a brand new muscle just to make sure you'd look back. 60 behaviors, 5 vocabularies, 1 message. Your dog has never done a single strange thing in its entire life. Every spin was a ritual. Every lick was a letter. Every paw on your arm was a sentence. Every howl was a call. And every single word, from the first vocabulary to the last, meant the same thing. You. You are safe. You are loved. You are everything. And your dog has been fluent in you since the moment they first looked into your eyes. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, when you get home, or when your dog wakes up from their nap, or when they do that one thing you've always called weird, stop. Don't laugh. Don't film it. Don't scroll past it. Watch. Because now you know that spin before lying down isn't strange. It's a 15,000-year-old safety check. That paw on your arm isn't random. It's your dog choosing you over everything else in the room. That howl at the siren isn't confusion. It's an answer to a call their ancestors have been responding to since before civilization began. And if you've ever punished the chewed cushion, the scratched door, the puddle by the entrance, you didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't have the translation yet. Now you do. Your dog has been speaking to you in 5 complete emotional vocabularies: protection, devotion, ancient, trust, and distress, every single day. And now that you can hear them, listen. If this video changed how you see your dog, leave a comment. Tell me which vocabulary surprised you the most. I read every single one. And if you want to keep learning this language, subscribe, because we're just getting started. Next video, we decode the one behavior that predicts your dog's emotional health better than any vet visit ever could. And you see it every single morning.